Hello and welcome to this episode of the Queen Bee podcast. Today we're joined by group fitness teacher and personal trainer, Tracy Minnoch-Nuku. Tracy's own experience with menopause has led her to focus on advocating for women in midlife and menopause with her Sexy Aging podcast, her community, and now soon to be released fitness app. Thanks for joining us today, Tracy.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Tanya. I will talk to anyone and everyone about menopause.
Love it. Me too. Much to my husband's distress.
Yes. My husband would much prefer that I talk to other people and not him. He's heard it all.
Yeah. Well, coming to what you've been working on lately. Now, I know that you've been doing a lot of awareness building and advocacy in the fitness space, particularly for women at their midlife and during menopause. So what is it that we should be doing and why is it different from what we might have been doing previously?
Yeah, I found out the hard way myself. I think like most of us going through menopause, when you don't have the understanding of what is actually happening to your body, you will struggle your way through trying to figure it out. And I've got like over 30 years in the fitness industry. I don't work, actually, I'm not like a personal trainer or anything now, like that was back in my 20s. But obviously not a lot changes when it comes to science and how to train, how to build muscle, how to lose fat. Like, we get all these diets and stuff, but to be honest, it's pretty basic and not a lot changes. There is a caveat though, is when a woman comes into midlife and menopause, it really does shake up the ability to get the same type of results that they might have got back in their 20s and 30s. And this is something that I was personally experiencing. I think if you've been in the fitness industry for a number of years or 20 years and you've got that background, I do think it's in your favor. I will say that now. I will say when you get to your 40s and your 50s, if you've got some lean muscle tissue because you did that kind of thing earlier on, it will make a difference. But it doesn't mean that it's off the table for people that are just getting started. I think that getting started journey is actually quite exciting. I love helping women when they go from couch to fitness queen. But I think, back to your question, learning from personal experience that all the cardio under the sun was not going to shift those extra pounds that had suddenly and magically appeared overnight. When you're in the fitness industry, you're going to be wearing certain kinds of clothes to represent a fit, healthy role model. And when you're not feeling it, like you've got sort of extra parts have joined your body that weren't there before, it does shake your confidence. It does also make you feel like an imposter. Like, how can I be in the fitness industry if I don't truly look like a fitness role model? And I'm really happy to say that I feel that conversation across the board, across all the ages, has shifted a little bit towards what does fit and healthy and strong look like. And I know, like, for my daughter, that's a different conversation now, which is exciting. But I think like just that idea that no matter how much cardio I did or how many 10K runs I went on or how many HIIT classes I did back to back, it didn't make a difference. In actual fact, it actually made me feel worse. Couldn't recover. Joints were aching, feeling really stressed out, not able to sleep. And I did notice if I did a workout at nighttime and it was a high intensity one, my sleep, you'd think that you'd be tired, right? And you'd go to sleep. But no, I was waking up at 2, 3, 4 in the morning because I'd increased my cortisol level somewhat in the evening. And our cortisol is highest in the first half of the day, and that's the best time to kind of work with it. But I was doing workouts at night as well. So these are some of the things that I found out along the way before I knew that it was called perimenopause. And like this story is quite common. A lot of women will start to realize there are a lot of things happening that just do not feel good and it's not adding up. Maybe they've gone to their doctor a number of times and said, look, have I got osteoarthritis? Have I got something wrong with my heart? I feel incredibly anxious. I've never had anxiety before. So these are things that women are going to their doctor about without the understanding that some of those come under the heading of menopause or menopause symptoms. Very treatable if you want to treat them. Of course, treatment is another conversation. And so I realized after doing some research that these were hormonal fluctuations associated with menopause. And I was angry. I was like, you got to be kidding me, right? For fuck's sake. I have been in the fitness industry for so long, never heard the word perimenopause, didn't learn about it when I was studying, continued to upgrade and learn more, but never heard this. And thought, okay, where are all the other perimenopause fitness people? Or actually, the people coming to our gym were 40 plus. We had a very big demographic of these absolutely kick-ass women that would rock up, run the world, and start looking like, hang on, I'm sweating and we haven't started working out yet. And I'm thinking, hey, I've got this and you've got this. Are we actually going through the same experience here? And is anybody talking about it? So that's kind of where the anger came from, is the not knowing, the lack of education, the experiencing it myself without being able to do anything about it, because not knowing, back to not knowing. And then watching all these other women in front of me having the same experience and nobody's saying anything over coffee. So happy that is shifting.
Yeah.
I just wanted to, probably like yourself, Tanya, just start talking. A podcast is a great way to interview people, find out what you don't know, learn on the fly, and then send you off to research a little bit further about the things that really light you up. So yeah, I was able to start a podcast in COVID because, lockdown situation. I was stuck in my office, so I just take some time out sometimes. Wrote my own book, My Menopause Memoir, which is my own personal experience with perimenopause symptoms. And I touched base with quite a few other women that contributed their stories to the book, which is really cool. And then I think one of the cool things about this stage of life, where people don't often say, yay, menopause, but there are things that as you come through, you realize, oh, I was always meant to do this thing. And that comes up for you. So you start stripping away all the things that aren't important and you start realizing what you're aligned with. And so fitness has always been my jam. And I thought, well, what I've changed with my fitness training, I'm going to share with others. So what I learned was strength training needs to be the number one. Now, like I know for a lot of women, that's actually quite confronting. It's like, well, I've got these little pink weights at home. And I'm like, yeah, that's not going to cut it. But if you're going to pick up those little pink weights and you weren't doing that last week and you can start doing that now, that's where you start. You start where you're at. It could be a booty band, because we call this resistance training, right? So we need to have...
Is that because we resist doing
it? I love that joke. Don't resist. Actually, you're just giving me an idea now. So we're going to start with something. And resistance training is the absolute gold standard to support you through menopause and for the rest of your life, because we're going to be building lean muscle tissue, which is going to help you burn fuel more efficiently, which is going to help strengthen those joints and bones, so you're not going to have that little old lady syndrome of falling over, breaking the hip, and then 1 in 5 within 2 years die because of that problem. So it's like it just ticks all the boxes. And, from one cardio queen to all the other cardio queens out there, it was quite a mindset shift to change to strength training. But now I've been really consistent 3 times a week for a year. And I was at the gym this morning, and I have a friend who's known me for the whole time that I've been training at this gym, and I teach some classes there, and that's where my community is. And she said, oh my gosh, I just want to tell you, your body has changed. And I could see it in myself. I'll just say, because I'm aware, I'm self-aware, but I could see it in myself. I haven't radically changed my diet. But she said it, and I knew it was the strength training. I just said, you know what? I really doubled down on the strength training. And while I wasn't going for the aesthetic reasons, because in my head, I can't be that little old lady. As in, there's nothing wrong with little old ladies. I don't want to have heart disease. I don't want dementia. I don't want to break a bone. There's all these reasons, I want to travel for the rest of my life. So that foundation, strength training, and actually how it supports menopause symptoms is really, really unique. So if we've ever heard of metabolic syndrome, lean muscle tissue is the currency of longevity. So it just ticks all the boxes to deal with some of those late life diseases that come up. And by having lean muscle tissue, you've got longevity in the bank, put it that way. So yes, strength training 2-3 times a
Yep.
week. Yeah. Lifting heavy so that by the time you've done 10 or 12 repetitions, it feels like, yeah, I need a break. That's what it feels like. So it doesn't matter what the weight is or the resistance. It's if you feel like that after 10 or 12 repetitions and you're starting to notice that maybe your technique is like not as good, that's enough. And that's how you build lean muscle. So it's not comparing you to anybody else. It's like, what is your body able to do? And then if I was going to give one other tip, I would just say the underrated power of walking for so many reasons. Like I think as we go through menopause, we're just all up in our head. It brings up a lot emotionally and mentally because you're going through a lot. And so you start reflecting back on that argument you had with so-and-so and how you just feel really agitated. And I just think that going out for a walk 20 minutes a day is just so underrated. So doing your strength training, doing a daily walk, and stretch that body because you're never going to be as flexible as you are today. So you got to hold on to that, and for so many reasons. So that's my top 3. Does that help?
That's fantastic. I had read that your strength training helps with osteoporosis. So particularly if you're someone who can't have hormone therapy, then that is the one way of really focusing more so than your calcium supplements and things like that. And I love walking, so that's good.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in learning a bit more about your own menopause journey. You sort of touched on it a bit, but what was it actually like? Why did it inspire you so much to start talking about it?
I feel like it's the women that were in front of me whenever I was teaching a class or doing a workout. And when I realized the symptoms of perimenopause from experience, but also from studying, I could literally look at people and see and imagine and feel, I'm a huge empath, what their experience might be like. And the fact that they might not have the knowledge or the education to understand what's happening to their body. And I think when you're in fitness and you love science and physiology, you can take a slightly unemotional view to what's happening to the body with the hormones. But because menopause brings you right into the emotions of it, like the high anxiety, the low mood, the depression, the low motivation, the brain fog, the name forgetting, like because all of that is happening, I have a huge empathy for people that I would meet. And I can almost take a perimenopausal woman just by maybe something she said, or the kind of intense look in her eyes, like there's a whole lot of thoughts going on in the back of her head. And I feel like, yeah, I was that woman when I didn't know what was happening to me. So I think that all the fact that I've had 34 out of 34 symptoms, and there are other symptoms that have started to come up that we're talking about. And yeah, I've got a few of those as well that aren't on the hot list for the GP, for the doctors. So I just feel like that has been the catalyst to pursuing this conversation. And it almost felt freeing, Tanya, like to be able to say, well, it's menopause, everyone. Like,
I'm not going crazy.
I'm not going crazy. You're not going crazy.
No.
What you're feeling is real, and I can help you. I can help you with some content. I can help you with some understanding of your body. I can set you on the path to really tangible science and evidence-backed information that's going to support your health moving forward, because it is a real crux. It's the bridge to aging. And, if you don't do something about your health, it is downhill from here, and it does get really freaking scary. So I'm not here to scare anybody. I'm here to bring hope and, practical tools, no fad, no fancy diet, just pure science, and help women be inspired to really just look after their health for whatever reasons, personal reasons. I think most women, a lot of women, like 75% of women that go through menopause will have weight gain, right? That's big. That's a big thing. And in our generation, women in their 40s and 50s, we've been subjected to diets all our lives. So we've probably done every single diet there is. And so when you start to put on weight, you go, okay, diet, what's happening now? Keto, intermittent fasting. I'll try something like that. The fact is that your body is going to rebel big time in menopause. It's not working with you on this anymore. What the results you used to get in your 30s is not going to happen. So you need to shift your mind and the way you feel about your body and what your goals are. So yeah, there'll be a little bit of weight loss that can happen over time and not with the sort of the rapid results that you might have expected before. But if you can bump up your goals for other tangible things that are meaningful, why you would want to strength train, why you want to get outside and walk every day, because maybe you want to walk because your relationship with your husband is a bit shit right now. And actually, when you go for a walk, you have a few more loving thoughts about him. Like that's actually really important, is going home after a walk and feeling like you've been decompressed and you can be a hell of a lot nicer person in the house. And for the next hour or 2 hours, everybody's getting on great. I mean, that's super important, and these things come up for women in menopause. So, I've been through it all. There has been the saucepan that's gone flying across the room and the teenager that's gone through puberty at the same time as I've gone through perimenopause. And I know a lot of women can relate to that. Or maybe they're having an aha moment and going, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense why women in midlife with teenage daughters living in the house are really like, butting heads, because we're all going through hormonal chaos. And so
Yeah.
I just feel like I've got a massive amount of empathy and understanding for what women are experiencing, and putting that together with my fitness background, it just felt like a perfect match. So I'm going to stick to my lane and hopefully inspire women to really take care of their bodies and their minds. And I'm not one of those hardcore fitness trainers, by the way. Like you can kind of hear that I've got a bit of a balance. Like I do believe in strength training. I'm going to raise the flag for that until I die. And I'll die with muscles. But I believe that people just need a helping hand sometimes to get off the couch and do one thing for 10 minutes. That's it. So, yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, it's one of those, I guess, power skills, is to be able to take that research and to translate that into something that actually makes sense for people. Because I think that's one of the big challenges. Yes, there might be a bit of research, not an awful lot, about menopause, but you've got to be able to translate that. And that's not easy for everyone. And like I know from my podcast conversations that, like you're saying, we do put on more weight. And part of that is because the new form of estrogen that our body can create needs fat to create it. So it's kind of like going, oh, let's create more estrogen and let's like bulk you up so you're nice and like ready to create it. And it's not necessarily what we want socially and like, in terms of our mindset and our sense of identity. And I know from the work that you do, a lot of that sort of sense of identity and letting go of that need to look a certain way is really important.
Yeah. No, I think I've come through that too. I've just got a lot kinder on myself. I'm definitely kinder towards other women. Just, yeah, like I said, a massive empathy for the experience. And I don't really look at the physique of people. Like I really notice that there's been a real change in myself. I don't really look at the physique. I look at the potential and I think about what's meaningful, important to them as a woman, as a mum, as, a career woman. Like what are their goals outside of what they physically look like? So I don't know that many people hear me sort of say this. They probably just go, she's a fitness trainer or a fitness expert, therefore she's all about the body. But the menopause experience has fundamentally changed my life and how I view the important things in life.
Yeah. And so let's talk sexy aging, because I mean, that's kind of what it is, isn't it? So
yeah,
tell us a bit about what you're doing in that space and what it's all about.
Yeah, so I don't think I've really shared sort of how sexy aging came about. I think in my mid 40s, I was kind of pushing against the idea that I was aging. And I think that this is at the beginning of perimenopause because you're experiencing lots of symptoms that feel like, oh God, I'm getting old. So I've always been quite youthful at heart. I like learning new things that maybe pop culture. My trainer team, when I was living in Malaysia, my trainer team said, oh, if you want to know what's new, you go and talk to Trace. Because I would always kind of be a little bit over the latest thing, whether it's technology or AI or whatever was coming out. I kind of had my eyes on it and I knew, what was kind of trending and all that kind of thing. So I've always had this kind of youthfulness. And then I was going through menopause and I feel I was pushing against that whole aging conversation. What does a 45-year-old woman actually look like? What does a 55-year-old, the ageism that comes with all of it. And we're obviously exposed to women like Halle Berry and J-Lo, and they have changed the landscape of what we traditionally view a midlife woman to be. And while they've got like a whole team behind them, I still think it's inspirational that has changed. Okay, so we can be whoever we want to be. And that's why I came up with the concept of putting sexy and aging together. It represents that you have ownership and agency for how you choose to age. And just sexy is catchy, like people won't forget it. So I actually licensed or trademarked the name before I had anything that I was going to work on. I didn't have a podcast, didn't have a website. I trademarked the name and just felt like this is going to be something someday.
Yeah.
And that means that every sort of digital resource that I put out comes under the name Sexy Aging. So it's a brand now. I don't know. I think that I feel on some level that these things, these sort of natural, instinctual gut instinct moments that you have when they start to move, when the train pulls out of the station and it just feels right, it starts to evolve into what it's meant to be. And then you wake up each day and you're inspired to do the work because it comes from such a really authentic place.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love that. So tell us what you are doing in Sexy Aging. So I know you have your podcast. How long have you had that for?
3.5 years now. So I've just released episode 97 this week. Got a couple of episodes coming up with Lara Bryden, Dr. Lara Bryden, the Hormone Repair Manual author. She has put out a new book and we're going to be talking about that. It's actually about metabolism, so that's exciting.
Cool.
And I'm interviewing a sleep expert because I haven't done a sleep session in a really long time, and I feel like let's bring back sleep. So yeah, and then of course it's going to be menopause month in October, so I've got to figure out like a star client to interview or something. So the podcast is good, but podcasts don't pay. So I've got a website and there's blog posts and my new fitness app is coming out. So I have had a fitness app for 2 years, but it has been on a third-party platform so that I can trial and test the products or the services that I want to give in the app. So the new app that's coming out has everything. We're talking like strength training workouts, yoga, HIIT, sprint interval training, home workouts, new beginner bodyweight workout, personalized meal plans. In fact, I just received a new menopause meal plan today to look over because there's gluten-free, dairy-free, vegan. That's all in there already. But I wanted something menopause meal plan, which is anti-inflammatory, high protein, high fiber.
Okay.
And then I've got the menopause symptom tracker, the period tracker, the community, menopause education videos, and mental health education videos. So it's got like everything. It means you don't have to split between all the other apps. You don't have to go to your nutrition tracker, your workout app, your yoga app, because that's what I was
I love
doing.
that.
I was doing that. I love apps. I love the structure of them. And so I always felt like on some level, and that's why I don't actually work in the fitness industry anymore because I'm around the digital component of it. One of the other things I do under Sexy Aging is I deliver menopause workshops in the workplace. So I help businesses understand how to support women who are going through menopause in the workplace. And probably one of the key things that I bring to my workshops is the lifestyle component, which is exercise, nutrition, sleep, stress reduction. And I come from, an educated background on that. So yeah, it's kind of busy, but it is like, what else would I be doing? Like, hey, this is epic.
You may as well be doing what you love and make a difference
So
and feel
true.
good about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so true. And then you get to talk to people like you, Tanya, like,
And I love it.
this is my lunch break. I mean, who needs to eat? I'm living and breathing menopause conversation.
I love that. So when is the app coming out? When's that live?
Yeah, well, right now, anyone can just sign up on the wait list so that they get the information, but it's coming out live as a subscription model on the 9th of September. So yeah, things are getting like really hot around here, no pun intended. Just there's a lot to be done, not to be done in the app, but just preparation around making sure that when people sign up, that it all goes really smoothly. I think one of the cool things is that when you do often sign up for a fitness training app, you don't get access to the trainer. Or if you have a question, it'll go to customer service, but that's not the case with me. So I have private DM chat also in the app because menopause women have questions.
And because everyone's different, they
Everyone's
need to
different.
understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so if they got a question and then I can review their menopause symptom tracker, I will probably have an answer. And if I don't, I will find out. So that's some of the stuff that I really love is just understanding that each woman is coming into it different and being able to have a private conversation in the app with them. Yeah. So I'm excited. I mean, it's been sort of 2 years in the making. I didn't realize it would take this long, but then I look back and go, 2 years, that's really quick.
There's so much to go in it.
Yeah.
And I know you also do speaking engagements with other fitness professionals.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Yeah, that's starting to really pick up. So what's happened is, so I was working in the fitness industry for 20 years in Southeast Asia. So I am quite well known in the Asian countries. And when I've mentioned that I'm going back to Asia, like I do retreats in Bali and things like that for midlife women's health. So now I'm delivering content and training for the trainers at the fitness club. So they'll bring me in. Some of it's online, like it's quite easy to do stuff online. I do a few Into Australia clubs. And yeah, just update the trainers on what they need to know. And it's not rocket science, but they just don't know. And probably some of the insights for trainers that they found most interesting is the emotional aspect of a menopausal woman. So as she's coming into the gym, you may have written a program, but be flexible to what's happening as she steps into the gym. I mean, she may have come from any amount of disasters before she actually shows up. She may rock up, she'll be teary, she might be absolutely exhausted, and you're not going to make her do a personal best leg press today, which was on the plan. So just really understanding all the aspects. It's not just physical, it's emotional, it's mental, it's cognitive. There's a whole lot of things going on. And when you share that with personal trainers, especially young males, they're like, holy heck. The cool thing is most of them aren't stepping away from the opportunity to train these clients. They actually see it as a major opportunity to improve their business because women 40 plus have more tangible income than their flippant 20-year-old client that's probably just going overseas or changing countries or, changing jobs or lost a job and can't afford their personal training sessions. Women 40 plus are way more consistent as personal training clients. So that I do the business aspect of it for them as well. And I think it's changing the game in the fitness industry. Did you know, here's something really interesting. A Statistica survey that came out, it's an Australian survey. The average age of a gym goer in Australia is actually 40.
Yeah.
40 years
Which
old.
makes sense, doesn't it?
Well, you think now, but I think most fitness businesses don't know that. That's what's really interesting.
That's not who they're targeting with their marketing and
They're not
things.
targeting the 40-year-old because they're all chasing the younger demographic, but the average age of a gym goer with a consistent fitness membership is 40.
And so is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners today?
Well, I feel like I'm coming to the back end of perimenopause. I think I'm in late perimenopause now, 9 months without a period. So I've got 3 months to go before I'm like, I'm through that very highly symptomatic, erratic part of perimenopause. I am very optimistic about the future of the menopause conversation for our younger woman coming up. My daughter knows all about it, and she's 19.
Mine too.
Yeah. So that's cool, right? We have done our job, Tanya. And yeah, I think that the impact on the health system is going to be improved now that we know so much more about how menopause affects our long-term health past 50. So if we're starting to really take care of ourselves because of menopause, then I think that the impact on the health system from a woman's perspective should be lessened. Yeah, because women do live longer and they live in poor health longer as well. But I think now that we've had this menopause conversation, there are those aha moments. Oh, it's actually because of declining estrogen and progesterone, but I can do this, 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 and this, and it won't have such a fallout for me for the future. So that's what I'm trying to help women. I mean, it's hard when you are early 40s to think about what it's like to be 80. But when you get to your late 40s, you're really starting to think about it. So
yeah, because you've been going through all the aches and pains and you're like, oh my God, I don't want to feel like this for the rest of my life.
I already feel like 80. Yeah. I think I wrote that in my book. I think I felt like an 80-year-old.
Yeah.
No haze on 80-year-olds. But I'm pretty sure I'm not supposed to feel like that right now. And you're not.
Yeah, that's the key, isn't it?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Today we've been yarning with Tracy Minnoch-Nuku, menopause educator, fitness expert, podcast host, author, speaker, and a mum. She's the CEO of Sexy Aging, providing digital resources for women in menopause, and her goal is that the M word will lose its taboo and we will all know how to support women at home and in the workplace. She was the recipient of the Les Mills Lifetime Achievement Award in 2012 after 20 years with Les Mills International, and was the co-founder of international boutique fitness brand Fire Fitness. Thanks so much for joining us today, Tracy, and I look forward to checking out the app.
Thank you so much for having me, Tanya. It was great to have a lunchtime catch up.